All right, we're going to call this one the feminist lie. What's up, my brother? So every once in a while, we'll get a DM from a gal that watches our content, and I'll just read this out to you and sort of get into some feedback. But she's a 46-year-old woman that's, I guess, figured out that everything that we talk about on the Ladies Night podcast, and even my other channels on the Unplugged Alpha and this one as well, is absolutely true. And ladies, if you're watching this, pay attention, especially if you're younger. Guys, this will be interesting for you as well. So this is actually a DM over to Moff. If you guys don't know who he is, he's my co-host on the Ladies Night podcast on the Unplugged Alpha channel. I'll put a card up so you guys can check it out. But she says, I'm a new listener to the Unplugged Alpha YouTube channel, especially the Ladies Night show. I'm reaching out because I'd love to be part of your show and reveal to the younger audience what you guys are talking about is actually 100% truthful because I live it. She goes on to say, I'm a 46-year-old female, never married, and have no children. I have the life that most would say fits the feminist movement. I have a PhD, own my house, make six figures, published author, entrepreneur, drive a Tesla, have traveled around the world, and I am miserable, in caps. I'm not really sure when driving a Tesla became something like an accomplishment, but such is life. She goes on to say, I always wanted to be married, and every woman who I've met when I was younger wanted that too. She put that in brackets. I was pushed to stay away from relationships by my parents, mainly my mother, of all people. Can you imagine that? My parents stayed together until my mom's death in 2019, and society told me the same lies as well. You are labeled as a leper if you dare discuss wanting a family or a husband. Now, keep in mind, this is a 46-year-old woman. This is not a young gal. This is a gal that's been around for a while, for several decades. And she's come to realize that the narrative, the stories that Hollywood, family, culture, religion, all that stuff sort of tells music, modern pop culture is all a lie when it comes to feminism. She goes on to say, get your own stuff. Don't depend on a man. We've all heard a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle sort of narrative. Well, there it is, right? Your paper accolades were glorified. She's talking about degrees that are framed in mahogany on the wall with little letters after your name. She has a degree from this place or that place. She has a job. Here's a list of my reality as a 46-year-old single woman. And she lists it off. I have very few friends. The ones that got married gravitated towards their husbands, and eventually date night with the girls became Tuesday lunches and Thursday dinners because they want to spend time with their man, and now girls' night is couples' night. There you go. She goes on. I spent 99% of my time alone without any human interaction outside of my work colleagues. When I do interact with people, it is with strangers. Men don't give a shit about my career, my home, my degrees, none of that. I'll discuss more of that later. How many times have I said, guys, there is no guy in history that has ever looked at a woman's degree and been like, oh, that's hot. Guys, look at women's beauty, their femininity. I've said this many, many times. Women are beauty objects to men. I've had to work multiple jobs my entire life. Women do not climb the ladder like men do and don't need the money like men do. If you want a home, vacations, a better car, you got to make that money somehow. I haven't bought myself hardly anything in years because while the cost of living has increased, my paycheck has barely made a jump. One of the funny stories that I heard is that there was this underground push decades and decades ago. They started this after the Second World War when they started pushing women in the workforce to sort of get into manufacturing to help the war effort. And they never really sent the gals home because they realized that you have two incomes in a household, they can double tax both those incomes, and that really drives up the tax revenue and puts people in the workforce and gives the government a lot more control. We'll talk about that some other time maybe though. She goes on, everything is on your shoulders, even something as simple as dinner. I have to earn the money, go to the grocery store, buy it, drag it home, put it up, cook it up, eat it alone in capital letters, and clean up. That honey list you need done, you better learn how to do it all or pay somebody to do it. The honey to-do list I think she's talking about. It is virtually impossible to meet anybody. You don't have your girls to go out with to give you a little company or a boost of confidence. Forget Friday or Saturday night. You look like the weird person at the bar going by yourself. She goes on. I never had a strong desire for kids because I spent so much of my time with nieces and nephews. I realize now that that was selfishness on my siblings' part. I was free entertainment, also babysitting to some degree as well. They never introduced me to anybody, even though I have two brothers and a brother-in-law, all with good careers. Who wants kids when you're constantly spending your limited free time with other people's kids? I mean, guys also don't want to have kids with older women. They generally want to have kids with younger, fertile, more healthier women. So anything after 30 is, I mean, most guys inherently know that they're better off reproducing with younger women because they're healthier and they're more able to carry the kid to term. I think high-risk pregnancies, depending on the doctor or the medical institution, they start looking at these things after 30, 35, and it's like not a good idea. She says, 99% of the men I date have been married with kids. Their ex-wives call or their kids call with some emergency and you will be dropped so fast. Well, look, a guy that's got kids, he's going to prioritize them, right? You just have to understand that. I mean, women are even worse at this stuff too, though. So I'm not sure why she's shitting on men on this one. They don't want to be married again. I mean, why would they? After you've had kids and after you've been through the divorce grinder and you've seen how it treats men, and I've talked about this many times, there's a divorce playlist on this YouTube channel. I'll put it up. I have a course that teaches men how to untie the knot and get divorced properly so they don't lose all their wealth. That'll be linked in the top pinned comment. It's not a good deal for men. And once guys do it once, it's very, very rare that they want to do it a second or a third time. And also, the chances of success after your first marriage, they go from 50%, they worsen to like 70, 75%. And a third marriage is even worse than that. So guys have figured out that it's not a good deal. They want to do all the nasty sex stuff they didn't get a chance to do when they were married. They're lazy and they want you to come over to their house and watch TV and you are left fighting an octopus all night long. I'm not sure what that means, an octopus. I'm guessing they've got their hands all over her, which is bizarre because I'm going to tell you something. This woman is probably average at best. I think most guys, if you saw the photograph, you wouldn't rate her very high. She says, you can find their ex's social media account and be glancing at the life that you didn't have with kids, family, and all the other stuff that matters. I've said this many times. Women love to creep guys' likes, guys' comments, anybody that they were intimate with in the past, especially an ex or an ex-wife. They will look through as much information as they can possibly find on social media to find out who you were married to, who your ex-girlfriend or ex-girlfriends were. They will go right down the rabbit hole. They love torturing themselves with this information. It's hilarious. None, and I mean none, of any married girlfriends work a second job, she says. They all moved into their husband's homes or bought their first home together. What that usually means is he bought the home and she walks around going, we bought our first home together. There's very few women that are able to contribute the down payment or put down what guys are putting down into homes. Men still earn the vast majority of money, especially the kind of men that women choose to marry. I should correct myself. The kind of women that women choose to marry, generally speaking, have the finances to pay for a family and a house and a lifestyle that they're looking for. She says it's very hard to pull together the finances to afford a home on your own. Yeah, it's shocking, right? They have full, rich lives with children. They go on vacations. They have gifts for their birthdays, Valentine's Days, Mother's Days, Christmas. I get none of those things. Cut the boss girl attitude, she says. I guess she's talking to the ladies when she says this. Good men don't want sass, drama, and fights. What have I been saying? What I've been saying on my podcasts and in videos for years now. Men don't want a disagreeable boss bitch. They don't want a boss girl. They don't want they don't want to go out and chase excellence all day and come home to some misery that bosses them and pushes them around. She says, dating in your 40s is rough. Yes, my looks are not the same. I am older. I have gray hair that constantly needs to be dyed. I have wrinkles. I see too many women get upset because the women in their 20s are getting all of the attention. My response is yes, that is what it is like when we were that age. You are old and the younger crowd we are around is too young for us. We need to go. Women realize at some point, I say there's two walls that women hit. People get so pissed off when I say this on social media, but women generally are on the decline after the age of 22, 23. That's when their looks start to go on the decline. I'm not saying that they're worthless. This is what pisses some women off. Oh, you're saying no. I'm saying that your looks are on the decline. Women are beauty objects to men, and beauty for women starts to go on the decline after about the age of 22, 23. As the years go on, that compounds and it gets worse and worse until they hit menopause, and then it accelerates even further. So women's beauty and attraction does have an expiry date. Ladies watching this, you need to understand that. You need to preserve your beauty and your value, especially when you're younger. And if you want to have a family, you need to do it in your 20s, not run around partying, traveling, sleeping with a bunch of guys, sharing your body, drinking drugs, basically deteriorating your value. You need to preserve it. And if you're serious about having a family, if that's something that's on the agenda for you, do it in your 20s, not when you're late 30s or 40s. She says, I should have dressed and looked more feminine and modest. No hoe looks, not what my mom wanted me to dress like. She wanted me to be in baggy clothes. That's interesting. Her mom wanted her to chase degrees and be in baggy clothes and not look feminine and attract a guy. if only these gals would watch this video and pay attention to my content when they're younger. I'm going to have to write a book for women one day. I know they're not going to read it, but I'm going to write it anyway. She says, I should have lost weight. She's definitely overweight. I saw the profile picture. You can see it in her face. She says, I've been overweight my entire adult life. It is harder to date. Don't listen to what society says. Men don't want fat women. Yeah, I don't understand this new inclusivity or this, you're beautiful at any weight narrative that you hear going around today. There is no guy that I personally know, any successful guy, like I understand there's some guys that have a preference for thicker women type of thing, but there's no guy that I know that is successful, putting a dent in the universe, competent, influential, very good looking, masculine, strong, can fight, any of those things. I don't know a single guy that has a preference for women that are carrying extra body fat. They just don't. And women are at a significant disadvantage when they walk around in life out of shape. Same thing for guys. At the end of the day, it's unhealthy. It's funny, though, because she's in the medical field. I should have stopped adding on degrees. I am so much in student debt. Oh, my God. In her 40s, she's in student debt still? I can't believe this. As you mentioned, the higher up you go, the harder it is to date somebody. What am I doing now? So women that end up, getting all these degrees and diplomas and jobs and professionals and all my Tesla, my PhD, woof woof, they end up being, in a situation where they can't date down because women don't date down. They're hypergamous. They want to date across and up. They only want to go across and up financially. It's why Becky will only date the guy that makes a lot more money. Becky, the hairdresser, will only date the guy that makes a lot more money on a long-term basis or even want to get wifed up by a guy like that. So when women get in on the workforce and they get these degrees and they start getting paid six figures into six figures and more, the amount of guys in that space that are making that kind of money or more, they're successful. They've already got it together. They're not looking for a disagreeable boss bitch that's overweight, in her 40s, that isn't going to bring him any children. They're looking for somebody younger, fertile, more agreeable, pleasant, less baggage. That's the other thing, too. You can tell she's got baggage. Younger women don't go through life carrying the amount of baggage like this, so they're a lot more fun and pleasant and uplifting to be around. Now, she says something here that doesn't make any sense. She says, I don't lead with my dick. She's a woman, keep in mind. I lead with my pussy. She said, I lead with my pussy. I do not sleep with men on the first date and don't have sex outside of committed relationships. Okay, well, she's 46 and she's setting standards now as far as, promiscuity. Interesting. When I do go on dates, I am much more feminine. I touch their hands, compliment them, allow them to share their experiences, dress modestly, do my hair and makeup. I allow them to lead and need to decide where we need to go and what to do. That's good. So good for her. That is very good advice. I co-sign that 100%. Stamp it. Yes. I don't even tell them about my lifestyle and what I've accomplished. Well, that's good. While I still haven't found a special person, why don't you call him a man because you're looking for a man? Stop saying person or partner. Stop being neutral. Be overtly stating what you're looking for. I'm looking for a frickin' man. Say it, ladies. The way that men treat me, now she's calling them men, the way that men treat me and how they want to go out with me again is completely different. I'm forcing myself to go out more. When I do go out, I spend a good amount of my time on my appearance. Honestly, ladies, the best thing that you can do, because I've seen, the profile picture, the best thing that you can do is lose weight. Guys don't care about your degrees. They don't care about your Tesla. They don't care about be able to cook, look feminine, be a compliment to his life, do all the crazy, nasty stuff in the bedroom, don't disrespect him. Those are the main things. She says, I am trying to get to the gym, but when you work 7 days a week, 7 days a freaking week at 46, well, she's got to pay off that student debt, right? I don't think she's going to find a guy to do it for her. 7 days a week, it's very hard, but a better diet is how I'm starting. Yeah, move more, eat better is always, my advice. She just sort of wraps up saying, I'm not on Instagram much, blah, blah, blah. Hope you have a chance to share. Maybe we can talk in the future. All that good stuff. All right, well, let's get on the road and wrap up this message. Well, there you have it, guys. A boss girl that's chased degrees, up to her eyeballs in student debt, overweight, working 7 days a week, has learned the hard way that the story, the narratives, the encouragement that feminism gives women is all a lie. This is why I call it toxic feminism. If you followed me for a while and you see me on social media, you heard me use that term. It is toxic. It leads women down the wrong path. It leaves them into she said it in bold font. She said it in caps and bold font. She said, I'm miserable. I am miserable. I don't like my life. I'm envious. She didn't state it overtly, but she said, I am envious of the women that did get married or taking vacations or being looked after by their husbands, have fulfillment with their children. This is why we are on the earth. I don't know why people subscribe to these notions and these lies about let's get degrees and we need to build buildings and infrastructure and go to planets and all this sort of. The reason why we're here on the earth is to scatter seed. Women are here to reproduce and have children and nurture them. Men are here to scatter seed. This is why we're here. We're not here for any of this shit. We're not here for YouTube. We're not here for cars. We're not here for the tune that I put on this. We're not here for any of that stuff. We are here to mate and scatter seed. This is our purpose. And the sooner that women and men too, get through their heads clearly that you don't need to spend your time doing dumb stuff that is never going to fulfill you, you will eventually have regret. And it's not just women that do this too. I've had a lot of guys over the years. I've had guys pine in their 60s and express strong regret for not doing, things to improve their lives and become successful and sire children, stuff like that. And I get this, there's people out there that like, I just don't want kids. I don't want to deal with it. There's too many downsides to it. I get it. But if you have a calling, especially for women, this is especially for women because I don't think women can check out of this option. I think it's easier for guys, if I'm being honest, although it's not ideal always. But women cannot check out of this option very well. They feel let down at some point. And ladies, that's what happens if you spend your time in your 20s and 30s, climate corporate life. Toxic feminism will tell women, don't serve a man at home. Don't take care of his home and, have his children and look after his house and make his house a home. They'll tell women, don't do that. Don't serve a man in that way. But they'll end up going to school, getting in over their eyeballs with debt, student debt, unable to enjoy their lives, working 7 days a week, all to drive a Tesla, pay a mortgage, and be miserable, be unfulfilled, of course, and serve a man in the corporate world. They'll line a fat rich guy's pocket with gold. They'll happily do that just to have a degree on the wall to say that I'm accomplished, that I'm a strong, independent woman, because they were told in their 20s not to serve a man. They were told them not to press his shirt, iron his shirts, or make him a sandwich, but go and climb the corporate ladder and have that backup plan. And I think that's a giant disservice. And this isn't the first one that I've seen. I've seen these many times. We've had conversations with gals about this. You see news articles, and from time to time, I bring them on the channel and I sort of highlight them and I talk about them. But I think this is one of the most profound ones that we've had DM'd. And again, this one went to Moff, so credit to him for fishing this one out of the woodwork. But this is one of the clearest and strongest examples that I've seen of why women should subscribe to their feminine roles and become what they've been put on this earth to become and do. You are feminine beauty objects to men. You're beautiful. Men admire and love women that are a complement to their life, add value to their life, are respectful, and of course do all of those wonderful things just for that guy in the bedroom. Men don't want women that have been with a bunch of guys that will take on any guy. They don't want guys that will be with anybody. They want a gal that will be with a somebody, which is you guys. Anyway, for men out there, it's do the work, level up. I've said it many, many times. I talk about it in my book, The Unplugged Alpha. Go read it if you haven't seen it yet. That's, of course, pinned in the top comment with all the other useful links. And ladies, pay attention to what this gal's, said. It's not something to be taken lightly. I will one day write a book for women. I know few women will read it because they only come to the realization after it's too late, unfortunately. But it needs to be said. It needs to be documented, and I'll break it down in clear and concise terms like I did with the Unplugged Alpha. You guys let me know what you think. Comment below. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you want to play tough and want to hate this, I'll always show up.